Last week we started a awesome conversation about relationships and started talking about friendships and started answering some questions, just talking through friendship. How many of y'all were blessed by that conversation? A lot of times we end up preaching things, but we actually don't have the conversations sometimes that are necessary to kind of fill in the gaps between what's being preached. So we had an amazing conversation about friendship, and we touched and dabbled a little bit on relationships as we use our relationship, our dating life, our marriage life. I was telling all y'all my business. But using our relationship as an example, even for some friendship stuff. And so today we wanted to pivot the conversation because everybody wants to know. They say, yeah, we appreciate the friendship stuff. We appreciate, yeah, that's cute, friendships and brotherhoods and sisterhood, but we really want to know about romantic relationships. We really want to know about dating. We really want to know about the stuff that really matters to us in the vein of how we're going to spend our life or who we're going to spend our life with. And it's something that we do talk about in church. But I felt like this was the setting that was appropriate, that we could actually give some more detail and just talk through some things that I might not be able to preach through, or that she might not be able to preach through, but that we would literally be able to talk through. One of the things that I feel happens a lot in church and in a religious sector is the idealization of relationships and the romanticism and the fantasy around relationship. And so we paint a picture of relationships that sometimes is how can I say this? It's not really always accurate, or it's not always true to our experience or to the experience of most people. And so we paint this beautiful picture, this picture that doesn't have hiccups, that doesn't have bumps, that doesn't have all of this, these ups and downs that real relationships have, because relationships involve two people. And so there's this ideal that we're presenting, and there are a lot of people that are chasing an ideal. And what we want to do is provide the balance for that concept that we do believe that marriage is of God. We believe that the institution of marriage between male and female is God's design from the beginning in Genesis. We believe that, and we believe that marriage is a blessing. Having a purpose partner, which we'll get into a little later, is a blessing. But we also want to give a realistic perspective of what it looks like to date as a believer, what it looks like to be married as a believer, what it looks like, what you want to be looking for in a mate, all of those different types of things. And as we always do, we end up telling our business because that's just what we do. Because it's very easy to look at a pastor, or it's very easy to look at a leader and be like, oh, they're perfect. Oh, their journey was perfect. Absolutely. Oh, and that's sometimes what's put forth, is that their dating life was perfect. Oh, they were just sanctified and they just stayed 6 feet away from each other and they just never kissed and they never dated. That's not, listen, that might be somebody else's testimony, and God bless you if it is, but that is not the testimony of our story. That's Amen. Not our testimony. And I think that people need to know that that's not always the case. And it's also not a disqualifier to say that God isn't involved, or God doesn't want, people to be together, or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of where we want to start, is just this. What do you think about the ideal of relationship that sometimes we as Christians and Christian leaders can put forth?
Can I be real?
You can be.
Y'all know I'm real, right?
Hold on. Okay, you can be real. You can be real.
Don't do that. Well, here's the thing. I think that everyone is natural to desire a partner, right? I think that that's natural. And according to what we believe, you can't be intimate with that partner unless you're married to them. And so I think that sometimes, you have the ideal here, right? And I do want a family. I do want a husband. I want a man. A man, he wants a wife. He wants a woman. You believe that it's God's original plan for man and woman. So it's all these things that are tying in. But I think the main thing is we have needs. And it's like, if that's what I got to get to have these needs met, then I'm well on my way. I'm ready for it. And you want it because you feel like, especially in church, you feel like this is what's going to complete my life. Once I get through, the salvation stuff, once I grow in God a little bit, once I move a little, I go up in the ranks, I mature a little bit. The next thing I need is a partner, and I want to have a family, and I want to have children. And so I think that what drives you is you're looking for some form of completeness. You're looking for some level of fulfillment. And it's easy to have that. I was that way. I wanted a family. And it wasn't like I wanted just any man, but I wanted a family. And I feel like that it's okay to have that as a goal, but I don't feel like we should idolize it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So it's okay. Are you telling the people that it is okay to desire marriage? It is okay to want a family, and that doesn't make you bad as a believer. It doesn't make you bad as a young adult.
Desperate.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't make you any of those things. So literally, it is a natural desire. And I think we don't talk enough about that. My wife and I, we were talking about the fact that there are certain things that even happen to you as a teenager biologically to start to prepare you to be desired and to desire the opposite sex. There are things that start happening in you. And unfortunately, most of the time, I grew up in a saved home. And outside of what you couldn't do and outside of the rules and the restrictions, there was not much relational coaching. And I think one of the things that my wife reminds me of all the time is that your family is your first educational institution. And so there wasn't much coaching on relationships. There wasn't much coaching on dating. We talked about it last week. There wasn't much coaching on friendship. So in an ideal situation, our parents, if they are in a healthy relationship, should really start to coach us on what building a relationship looks like, not when we are 30 or 25, but when things start happening in our bodies, when things start happening naturally. I have to say this over and over again. It's not the devil. These things are happening. These things are happening biologically.
Natural,
These things are happening naturally because there is no magic button that turns on once you become married or once you there is no magic button.
The button is on.
The button is on. It's on. It's
around about what, 12, 13? That button is on.
The switch is already flipped. It's
real,
on.
yeah.
And so we have to stop demonizing the biological things that God has put in us to prepare us for his plan for us.
Absolutely.
And so in a utopia, so to speak, or in the perfect world, we would be coached in relationships starting at a young age. And y'all pray for me because I don't know how I'm going to do it when I have a daughter. I just don't. I'm just not prepared. But nevertheless, we should be coaching our children so that they have a realistic perspective of what relationships are going to be like, so that they know when you said a key word, you talked about being ready. And I want to talk into that because sometimes you can receive rebukes, you can receive advice, you can receive counsel that talks about readiness or non-readiness or being unprepared. Is there such a thing as being prepared to date or to enter into romantic relationships, or is that not a real thing? Is that not like real?
You don't have to be perfect. And I think that we have to acknowledge that. You don't have to be perfect, but being ready to date is a real thing. And I think that there are many, somebody say many, married people who will tell you that they wish they were ready before they got married. And I want, you raise your hand, Pastor. Y'all see that? We wish that we were more prepared before we got married, because the truth is, guess what? Those lessons that you're supposed to learn as a single woman or man, you still have to learn them if you want to be healthy, even within a marriage. Yeah. And so I say that if you can learn it on the front end, go ahead and learn it on the front end, so that as you show up, we talked about it last week, how you show up in your relationships is a reflection of how healthy you are inside and or not, right? And so why wouldn't you want to just go ahead and show up healthy so your relationship can be smooth sailing?
Not
you know what
perfect,
I mean?
Not
perfect, but so it can be smooth sailing. What I mean by that is I am fully aware of who I am, right? I am fully aware of my responsibility to you at that point. You're aware of your responsibility to me. It's not like you have these people coming into a dynamic that are emotionally immature, because that is a real thing.
So is that a sign that you're not ready?
Yes, I think that's a sign that you're not ready. There's so many things for women, and I'm not a person that's hard on women. I'm just not, because I feel like we're like God's greatest gift to creation, right? But what I will say is, when I am hard, it is not because I'm saying rise to the occasion for him. I'm saying rise to the occasion for you, so that when he get there, he will add to your happiness. He'll add to your smile, but he won't be your reason. Somebody say Jesus, and Jesus is the reason. You ain't my reason. I was glowing before I got to you.
Glowing.
Yeah, and now you're glowing because we're together, So we got to talk about what I add to you, but no, there is a thing where you have to be prepared. And here's the thing, it happens in friendship. And so honestly, if you do friendship well, if you do it well, you're ready. You're ready, because if you're going to be mentally healthy, right? You're going to be emotionally healthy. Your decisions are going to align with that health. Your decisions are going to align. That's your sign. That's your fruit. If your decisions are all over the place, it's letting you know, like, ooh, red flag. Something's going on in my mind. Something's going on in my emotions that may not be right. And here's the thing. That's not the time to be hard on yourself or to run and find somebody to help fix the issue. That is the prime time to take a moment to really tend to yourself.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If I give you power, right, over my emotions and my mind, the moment you walk away, I'm losing my mind, and my emotions, I'm going to crash, right? And so I'm saying all that to say, because I think sometimes, especially for younger people, and I get it because I'm not too far removed, from being younger. I won't say my age in Jesus' name, but I'm not that far removed. But I think sometimes it's difficult because you have people telling them to wait, but there is really no solution. There's really no instruction. There's really no direction.
Powerful.
So if you're saying wait, what am I waiting for? Especially if you cute. Because you like, they not waiting. They on,
they in your DMs.
Yes, they're here. They're here. But here's the thing that I would caution. I would caution you, even if you're a person that say, oh, I can pull them, right? Here's the thing. You have to understand that just like you produce who you are, you'll also attract who you are. And sometimes you can attract the person that is the worst thing that ever happened to you, especially if you're a self-sabotager. You're just going to attract somebody to add to that narrative. And so why are we saying be careful? We're saying be careful because you want to be who you want to attract, right? And so once I live at this place and I'm at this standard, right? If you come into my life and you're below that, I'm not desperate. But then if I'm not up here and you come into my life, you can trick me. You can trick me. You can fool me. You can make me think that you're somebody that you're not. But listen, when you are something, you know it when you see it, even if it's not perfect. And so again, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have to be perfect. But my mental, my emotional health, right? My soul health, even your spiritual health. Like you want to be spiritual. Yeah. Listen, we weren't ready. We weren't ready to get married, I would say, but we have a lot of stories of what we've added to each other's life, and I think I'm giving back to Pastor Dave, but I'm just going to say this for the ladies in the back, just for the people in the back. Listen, I might not have been ready in some areas, but what I did know is that I was looking for a man that was an amazing father. Because I said, hey, this is not just about love. This is not just about love. And before the baby carriage come, I got to make sure that I have a man that's not just going to stick around and provide, but I mean give that child identity. I already knew that I needed somebody to be able to shape and mold that child and to make an impact in a way that I could not. And so that was one of the things that I actually loved about you. And we were best friends first. And that's another thing. Sometimes when you're not ready, it's easy to slip into something with your friend. Because for me, I wasn't out here just dating, wink. I wasn't out here just doing that, I was just waiting for him, right? But no, seriously, we were not, I don't think that we were ready because I think both of us, we were like opposites, right? And I think that we came together and we did our best. We did our best together, but it was our friendship that really carried us over. So I don't think that we were educated enough to realize, like, we're best friends. I'm attracted to you. You're attracted to me, but there's more. Like when you move into different levels of companionship and all that that kind of stuff. You know, there is more, and you want to be educated, and that's why you need great role models, and you need people in your life that you can look up to, even if it's someone in a book, even if it's an author or something like that. But I'm just putting it out there because I know as single people are always saying you're not ready, you're this ready, you know here, and you're not. Listen, either way, I'm telling you, you just don't want to be miserable either way. And so, I'm going to leave this right here because I got more to say, but I'm going to leave this right here. Just know that you do need to invest in yourself. And that's it. That's what it means not to be ready. It doesn't take anything away from you. It's just saying when you move into that dynamic that you want to be prepared for what you need to do and what you have to receive from the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the point that you made was when someone or advice or counsel or wisdom tells you that you're not ready, or even if you know within yourself, I'm not ready, then I think where we miss it is I don't just stop at not being ready. It's not a finality. If someone says, hey, I don't think you're ready for that, or if you have counsel or advice around you that says, hey, you may not be ready, I don't think we just stop at not being ready. That was we talked about us not particularly being ready, and one of the things that I did not invest in was education. I didn't invest in learning myself, but not only learning myself, but learning what I was getting into. Because once again, you have this ideal of marriage. Your ideal of marriage is based upon, one, your experience, what you have seen, if you've seen marriage, or number two, what has been taught or presented to you. And so I had this ideal that said, if I be 100% honest, that a husband is a provider, that he works, and that's one thing that I was always going to do. I'm going to work because if I don't work, I don't eat. And if I don't eat, then she don't eat. And if I have children, they don't. But that's not the sum total of what being a husband is. I did not invest in learning, not just about yourself. I learned about myself first, but I would also caution that if you are dating or if you desire to be in relationship, you should also spend some time learning about the opposite sex or their needs, what they take it away.
I just wanted to say this, and you can help the people out, right? I think that some people, if you're out there, just say amen or ouch. They spend time getting to learn about the other party, the other sex, you know? They do, and that's why you have people anticipating a certain type of spouse, but they don't spend time getting to know themselves. Because I spent a lot of time with guys. Like, so I had guy friends. I understood guys. And truth be told, come on, you can sell them. You can give me my little kudos, right? I do think I understood him. I don't think.
I would agree.
We didn't have problems like that.
I would agree.
I think my issue came in with myself. So it's like, I got you down packed.
But
you know,
see,
I can be the perfect wife, but I wasn't.
I didn't study.
I wasn't healthy as a woman.
It was
fully.
me.
Yeah.
I didn't study. So I didn't study the opposite. I didn't study what was needed. Yeah. I didn't study. So I know myself. I know the way that I think. I know the way I'm extremely logical, analytical, so it needs to make sense. A, B, C to here. It's a linear projection for me. It is not a circular projection. It is linear. So we're going from here to here to here to here to here, but not learning.
It's
and
circular
not
when it pertains to him. It's here to here to here to here when it pertains to you. Let's tell that part. Help the men. Yes, minister.
I did not fully understand that. Hey, there's a different way that my partner receives. Yeah. I didn't understand there's a different way that she hears. I didn't understand there's a different way that she speaks. To this day, sometimes I need to be decoded. So we have conversations and I'll be like, but you just said this. She'd be like, I know that's what I said, but that's not what I said. You have to listen to what I'm saying. I know that's what I said, but that's not really what I really was saying. You have to listen to what I'm saying. And I'm saying, I am listening to what you're saying because I just said what you said. You know, but literally she has taught and is still teaching me because I am not perfect. She is still teaching me to listen, to understand. Because if you are also logical or if you are a point prover, if you are all those things, it's like, this is what you said. I'm going based upon what you said. Not what you meant underneath of what you said, but here's the thing. Love is not just a feeling, it is a choice, and relationship equals work.
That's just what it is. Yeah.
Relationship equals work. So while there are beautiful, blissful, romantic moments, all of those things, relationship equals work. And what type of work am I talking about? The work to learn yourself first, as she said, but then also to learn your partner, to learn the person that you desire to do life with. Because if you embrace the idea of marriage as a covenant, we have the rest of our lives to be living and doing life together. So at some point, when you're newly married, if I be honest, we're slipping into marriage, but when you're newly married, I was still so committed. I'm not going to speak about her, but you can be committed to your way of things. And in the initial stages, it's about maintaining what you came in with. It's about maintaining your belief system, your values, what you said, what you wanted to do, how you want, especially for men, how you want your house to be run, how you want to do this, how you want to do that. But then the more that your marriage and your relationship grows, I'm telling you what I know, that we're almost 10 years in, that you begin to say, I don't want to argue. I don't want to be that committed to what I want to hold on to, that there will begin to be a flexibility. There will begin to be a compromise. And you don't have to wait till year 10 to get it. What I'm saying is that's the work. The work is, how do I become, even as a husband, as somebody that is dating, how do I become more selfless? Is the work. Because while I am by myself, it is me, myself, and I. So then how do I become more selfless?
And I think for women, most women, not all, it's the opposite.
Jesus.
How do I take a moment to tend to myself? Because I think that I came into the marriage very selfless, not realizing that, hey, it is not all about him.
Yeah.
It is not all about him, but unfortunately, that's sometimes what you learn, especially the way the way we were raised in the Pentecostal church. It's women submit. And I think for me, although I was very submissive, I do have a very strong personality. So there will be certain points I'll be like, now hold on, God. Now wait, you surely don't mean, you surely ain't telling me to, I had to really have some one-on-ones with God. And I'm like, there's something wrong with him. Like, what is wrong with you? I am here, I am adjusting, I am giving my absolute all, and you just think that the world revolves around you. And so what did I have to do? Which is what you need to do on the front end. You don't appreciate it? Okay. Just step on back. I'll just save it for myself. Because one powerful thing that women have to know is what we offer other people, we can also offer ourselves. And just like they benefit from who you are, you can benefit from who you are. So I didn't know that on the front end, but I figured it out in marriage because I'm like, oh, you don't appreciate this selflessness? I'm going to take this selflessness and, and do something for myself. I'm going to invest in myself, And so I took that on, but I feel like it's a conversation because I do, in speaking to women in general, even women that are dating, a lot of women deal with men like you were, very much so like my way or the highway. This is my house, and you need to do this, and you need to do, like you said, is this, or whatever you were saying. We heard you. But I'm just saying, like, most women deal with that, and so I feel like on our end, we have to balance how much we love, because we're like, I'm taking care of you. You ain't gonna want for nothing. You're not going nowhere. That's how we are. And you do have men like that, so men, don't shoot me, especially if you're online, because they're probably like, well, I'm like that. But all men are not like that, and you have women out here giving their all even before marriage.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the pace in dating. So how do you pace yourself in dating so that you're not giving the benefits of marriage before you actually have that level of commitment, but at the same time, if both of your minds, hopefully the key is both of your minds are moving in that direction, how do you kind of pace within dating so that I'm not giving too much too soon, but I'm also not holding back so much to the point where I'm not able to actually build something that is serious with this person?
Something that I will say about us, I think we were probably more ready to date than ready for marriage.
Absolutely.
But because we started so young, we started dating like at 19. And so we were married at 24, which is, that's a long time to hold out when you think somebody look good.
But
you
hold
know?
on. So
I'm just saying, no, because I wanted to talk about the pace. Let's get back to the pace. Look, people of God, come back. They said, no, I know that's real. But no, I think that as far as to how we dated, I would definitely recommend
I was just
that.
going to, the only reason I was going to interject for those that 19, I'm going to count 19,
Don't be
20,
telling our
21,
old.
22,
I thought you
23,
were about to
24. The only reason, let me be very clear, that the only reason, it didn't take me that long to know that I was going to marry her. So I want to bring clarity so that the daughters in the faith and the women of God are not strung along for extended period. I was
Don't
young,
you dare.
and here I wanted to be very clear about that. I was in college, so we started
And I was in
dating,
beauty
and she
school.
was in beauty school. I started to date her. I think we were in my sophomore year of college. I knew that I needed to finish college. I knew that I needed to get a job.
Say it.
I knew that I needed to have a place to put her.
Amen.
We needed to save for the wedding that she wanted to have 15 bridesmaids at.
I actually had more.
Oh,
Amen.
more. I'm sorry. So I knew all of those. So that is a part of that 6-year journey. I don't want you to think at my age now, whatever that is, I won't tell the woman of God's age. I don't think
You're
that
older
I would
than me,
date.
so tell your age.
I
You're
don't
older.
I don't think that I would date for 6 years as an established man.
First of all, I wouldn't have been there. Listen, first of all, I would
woman of
not
God
have
said
been.
she wouldn't have been there.
I would not have been there, but I understood that we were doing our own thing. We were young.
Yeah.
We started dating we met around 16 or 17. We started dating at 19. I'm sorry, my dad is the most amazing provider.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do nothing less for me than what he did. So excuse me, get it together. Finish school, huh? And you finish with a great GPA, huh? And so I appreciated that. But no, I think that is important to talk about because you do have women waiting around.
Yeah, and I don't personally, as a man, I knew I don't want to get men in trouble, so I'm trying to keep our allies. But you know,
Just tell it.
when you find that it doesn't take you 6 years to know. Thank you. It doesn't take 6 years. Now hear me very clearly. It may take that amount of time for your development, but here's the thing. If you are still being developed, there's that scripture that says don't awaken the love in the woman. So if I know that I'm being developed still, I can be attracted to you and hopefully, but here's the thing, that should be motivation as well for my development. So if I know I want you and I want to be with you, what I'm going to be doing is working on myself, and I'm going to be praying to God that he don't let nobody else bag you. While I am working and developing on my, developing myself,
Yeah.
I'm going to pray that if this is the person for me and if this is the path for me, that this relationship is still available when I am ready for it. Like we're saying, readiness is not perfection. It is just simply being intentional. That's a word my wife uses all the time, being intentional and mindful of your own growth and development, because the pace is very important. And I think that is something that we did pretty well.
We started out as friends. Like we were really good friends.
How do you be so?
Go ahead.
How do you be friends?
I never know what he's going to say. I just be like, what you about to say?
The questions be coming to me. So
He said they be coming to me. My
they-
God. Come on, Holy
I can only
Spirit.
imagine that it's challenging to, how do you identify because, oh, Father God, I'm trying to just think. When you know that you're attracted to someone
Yeah.
that you haven't yet established a friendship with, how do you then go about building a friendship when I feel like I'm asking you all the hard questions?
But you're asking me questions. You were attracted to me before we became
I
friends.
absolutely was.
Don't do that.
That is true.
You definitely wanted me.
See,
You definitely wanted
Do
me.
you hear
So
this?
you
Do
can answer that
The woman
question.
of God is
you,
powerful.
You tell us. How was it for you, Pastor Wilford? How was it
I
for
think
you?
for me, because we were friends and because I knew that you were.
Did you want me before we were friends?
She said, I'm going to give you a devil mic.
I know it so, huh?
I knew Come
on, release the pride.
I I knew that you were attractive.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know if you liked me.
I
as me.
didn't know if I liked her like that because I
And it
didn't
was the
really
same.
know her.
I felt the same,
So
yeah.
here's the thing: because we met, because we went to like sister churches, so we fellowship all the time and see each other and hi and bye and all that kind of stuff. And
But that's all there is. So if I don't know you yet, I'm just attracted to you.
that is true.
And so the friendship starts because I want to get to know you, and that's
Absolutely.
just simply what it is.
And I think that I knew that I liked her, but I also had to pace myself in saying, okay, I have to put that over here for a second because one, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if she's ready. And because we had very transparent conversation as friends, it was like, okay, I don't know if she's ready. So I also don't want to put it out there. And men, if you have any pride, I don't want to put it out there and then be shot down because she's not ready, or maybe she's not into me, or maybe she doesn't want to, because here's
So
what I also want to
What
testify.
happens if you're shot down?
If you're shot down, you just got to recover, but I didn't even want to recover. I didn't want to recover. And here's the thing, what I want to tell you about the prophetess of God, what I want to tell you about the woman of God
Y'all praying?
is that
Heavenly
we
language
were
now.
friends, and I thought it was cool that we were friends at the time because the friend zone was cool because what I knew of her, remember I knew her from 16, and what I knew of her, she has been saved since she was 11 years old.
Yes.
But I also knew her ex-boyfriend. And her ex-boyfriend.
I hope he's not watching. Jesus.
No, we weren't.
I'm just playing.
We
Go
weren't
ahead.
friends or
Talk
anything
about
like
it.
that. So it's not
Hallelujah.
like it's no shade. I'm saying I knew her ex-boyfriend and I knew what type of man he was. I was on the total opposite end of the spectrum. Her ex-boyfriend was like a bad boy, and
He was saved.
and he was
He was kind of.
he was a new convert, and
He grew up in church just like me.
okay.
Don't do that.
So he was saved, but he was also extremely street.
Yes.
And I was the church boy. When she met me, I was wearing prayer shawls to every service. I was like,
I wish y'all could have seen how I watched. I was like, where is he going?
I was that person.
You are literally, you're not going to meet the king. You live with him. My God.
And so I was that person. And so the friendship zone was cool. But I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be the type of guy that she might be interested in. So we'll just play it cool. I know that she's attractive, obviously. I know that she's beautiful. But we're just going to, that's how I managed it. But I think that there was a level of boundary that each of us had
Absolutely.
individually that allowed for when we came together not to go too far too fast. And so what I would say to even those of you that are watching at home is developing an internal value system and developing an internal discipline as far as your pace will help you, especially when the other person comes into the situation and you both have your individual boundaries, which means I'm not going head over heels for her too fast, and she's also not pressuring me. She's not going in head over heels for me because it's, the woman of God told me, you call me.
Period.
You do what you do, and if you don't call me, you won't hear from me. While we're in the initial stages,
You called me every day.
but
That's how we spoke.
I called her every day
Because I wasn't calling.
I called her every day.
Now, was I looking, wondering when he was going to call? Yes, I can tell you that now. But was he ever going to know that? Absolutely not. I was looking at the phone like, okay, it's 7 o'clock. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Okay. Are you in choir rehearsal? What are you doing?
Choir rehearsal,
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so I think that the pace is also a really big thing because you can sometimes go too fast and you can give too much too soon, which makes it very hard to disconnect even when certain things are revealed or there are certain red flags because I've already gone into covenant status before we get there. Before there's sometimes even a conversation. And so what you have to do is pacing yourself is a matter of both the mind and the heart, which means I have to be conscious. I can't be so in bliss that I'm not conscious of the speed of my heart and how my heart is attaching to an individual before I really know them. Because if my heart attaches to you and makes this connection, this deep, deep connection with you, before I know certain things about you, when I start to learn things about you that might be red flags that we're not compatible or we're not a good match, it becomes so much harder to detach. It becomes so much harder to separate because now we're enmeshed, we're entangled, for lack of better words.
But you know what? That's why it's good when you're dating. That's why it's good to meet the person and not already have what you think they should be or what you want them to be in your mind.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is the more you get to know them, the more you like them, the more you're attracted to them. You don't just go in assuming that this is my husband. People do it.
Yeah.
Especially because when I met you, you were a singer. He tricked me. I didn't know he was a preacher, for the people in the back. But when I found out you were, I'm just saying, you would have been the ideal guy for a church girl, you know? And so they would have automatically thought, oh, he is going to be so perfect. I was so much of a realist that I'm like, I'm glad them people like you, and I'm glad they're falling out. But let's talk. What's going on? What's your secrets? You know, what's your struggles? What do you think about? What makes you sad? What makes you angry? Like, those were the conversations that we had, and I would ask my friends that kind of stuff. But I didn't have like this preconceived ideal of who you were supposed to be. And so the more you revealed yourself, the more I realized I liked you. I'm like, okay, he's not stuck up. He's funny. Okay, I like that. He's extremely intelligent. I like that. I knew that you were a protector off of the back. I like that. Your heart was pure. Y'all, I have never heard him attack anybody, say a bad or mean word to anyone ever. He's never said that to me. And honestly, that was something that I fell in love with. I fell in love with the purity of his heart and how he stewarded his words. Even when you knew he was mad. I know you wanted to rip me to shreds. I know you have wanted to rip me a new one, but you have not. And so I'm just giving an example. I didn't fall head over heels and later on find out that he was verbally abusive. I was paying attention to his language. I heard how he was talking about other people, his friends, his family. And so that was something that I begin to fall in love with. But sometimes you can fall in love with what you want. So your idea is, I want a man, I need my needs met, I got this ideal of this, I want this family, I want this wedding, and I'm ready to go, it's you. And literally, I basically drag you to the altar. No, that's not how it was. And so that's why I say I feel like we paced ourselves properly. I just don't think we had anybody to have those conversations like, hey, you're doing good while you're dating. Because I think that we dated well. We did not have sex until, it wasn't easy. We did not have sex until the night of our marriage. The night of our marriage. Jesus, I almost said something else. We didn't have sex until then, so we actually did well, but we didn't have anybody to talk to us about the transition into oneness.
Now I'm going to.
What you about to say?
I'm going to tell you a little bit about my business.
Is it just yours or is it mine?
No, it's both of ours, but I know you want mine.
Clutching my pearl.
So, what I would like to share, because it sounds like, oh, that is just so amazing. It's an amazing feat that, you kept yourself and all of that good stuff. She said it was hard. I don't mind putting myself out there and saying, but I was trying to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Now, she kept herself together. But what I'm saying is, I think that there are, and I want to tell you that as a sanctified person. I want to tell you that as an anointed person.
Real.
I want to tell you that as somebody who was preaching. I want to tell you that as somebody who was singing.
My God.
I want to tell you those things.
You were prophesying, laying hands, delivering people.
I mean,
laying the same hands. My God. But we thank him for grace. Somebody say, thank you for grace.
So literally,
somebody got to be real about this stuff, and we are the people. And who's going to check us?
Yes, I want to tell you that, because it will sound amazing when people say, oh, you kept it or you held it together to marriage. Here's the thing. When you do love a person, and once again, remember, there's no switch.
Yeah.
There is no switch. This is what I need you to understand. There is no switch. And so when you're developing in love with a person, you're developing and journeying with a person, there is no switch that turns on the marriage day. Right. You don't flip it on and be like, "Ooh, now we can." No, there's a release in the sense of now it's not sin, but that attraction, that it doesn't. If it does start there, I'm concerned at what was happening the whole time that we were dating. And so I want to present a realistic viewpoint for people to say, "Hey, there will be you will have to put your flesh under subjection.
And you have to know your limits.
And you have to know your limits. You have to know your limits because
he played with me, y'all. He played with me not too many times. I said, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. You're going to be looking dumb if we have a baby out of wedlock because I don't care, you know?
My
and so
God.
it was just in those moments. But in those moments, I was saying that to say, go home. Yeah. See you later. Yeah. See you tomorrow. And so we literally, I think that once we started seeing that this could really go left, we literally put boundaries in place. It wasn't no play. Oh, you can still come over late. Yeah. No, you can't. You can't come over late. And so we started putting boundaries in place. That was the only way we held out. I don't know.
I just want people to know that what you may see or value or look at like it's perfection, that's not the journey. Yeah. And I don't want to present that to people because I still believe that we were supposed to be married, that we're supposed to be together. And if there was something that was done that was sinful on the front end, that does not necessarily mean that we were not. It means I fell. It means that I was not able to hold out. It was a moment, but it doesn't necessarily mean that perhaps those people or those persons are not supposed to be together. Yeah. And so I want to offer you that wisdom because as you are growing, and what I often tell people, I was a closed person. I was a closed person, an individual. As a person, I was very closed. So I didn't really emote. I didn't talk about my feelings. I didn't talk about my journey. I didn't talk about my struggle. I didn't talk about my child. I didn't talk about nothing to nobody. And so when you meet somebody, she was that person for me. And if you are being intimate, and intimacy is not only physical. When you are intimate with a person's mind, when you are intimate with a person emotionally, that is real intimacy. And so it makes it even more challenging not to slip over because the only other element of intimacy that's missing is the physical one. If you know everything about me, you know my shortcomings, you know my struggles, you know all of these, that is a deep level of intimacy. Yeah. If you know my fears, if you know what I want to be or who I'm becoming in life, all of it, we used to sit and talk sometimes for hours. And if you know these deep things about me, then literally there is a space that makes it very easy to slip over. And it's just the managing or the discipline of the flesh. It's not necessarily demonic because I wouldn't consider myself, I wasn't a lustful person. No. This is just, once again, this is natural desires. And so I wasn't out here sleeping with all the church women or doing all this other stuff. And so it wasn't like this lustful desire. It's just like, oh, this is the person that knows me the most. This is the person I've been the most mentally, emotionally intimate with. And there is a very deep bond here. And so I really wanted to stop and pause and put that there because you will condemn yourself. You will condemn yourself. Possibly you might end relationships that are really God ordained. Now, here's the thing. Let me also say this. It wasn't every week. It wasn't every night. I wasn't filling up every time I saw it. Now I might have other issues if that's the case. If I can't restrain myself at all, or if this is a relationship that is continuously, there's fornication continuously and stuff like that. Hey, maybe if you're ready, you need to get married or whatever the case may be. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the desire, and here and there you may have moments where you want to desire to be intimate, even physically. I just don't want people to be condemned.
But you know what else I think I would say? For you as a man, sometimes when you're dating, the man kind of leads out, so it's easier when you have a man that understands your worth. Because one thing that you always made very clear, even within yourself, and I saw it in your actions, not just your words. It's like, hey, I value you so much that I don't want to do this with you until I put a ring on your finger, because you realize how valuable that was. Yeah. And so that's like going to the next level. That's like the deepest affection that you could possibly give your spouse. And so I think that you were very honorable in that sense. And so even like you said, you had self-control, that you have to value the other person. And you have to value them not just as a woman, but you also have to value them as a woman of God. And you have to say, God, I want to live out your intentions for her. I want to make sure that I do not violate what you intended for your daughter. And I think that's just the truth. And we had to come to that conclusion. And I had to come to it with you, too, because I'm like, I have to honor what you want to do with David. I had to come to that place, and I feel like that carried us through, just that perspective. It carried us through to know that, okay, we're connecting, but your purpose is bigger than mine. So if we do this with the possibility of pregnancy, what would that do to you?
I just knew. First of all, I was a church, as I told you, I was wearing prayer shawls and yarmulkes at the time and all this stuff. I was that person, but I also knew that I didn't want
They said say it for the people in the back and
I
front.
knew that I didn't want what I didn't want a dry 20-year-old acting like 70-year-old or looking like 70-year-old woman. I wanted the sanctification. I wanted the prayer. I wanted all of that stuff, but I wanted it packaged like this. I knew that I did, and everything else around me looked like that, and so I knew that I didn't want that. And so even in understanding that, I was clear on my purpose. I was also very clear on her purpose.
Yeah.
And I knew that to the people around me, I was that they didn't really know me. And so I was that golden boy. I've been preaching ever since I was young. I did great in school, all of that stuff. When she came around, it was like, I know that makeup wearing, that she's going to try and seduce the man of God. She's going to try and make him lose his sanctification and his posture. And she got on earrings and she got on all this stuff and blah,
Sure
blah, 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 blah.
pants.
And pants and all
red
this other
lips.
stuff. All of that. And I knew that had I impregnated her,
Yeah.
even of my own accord, I knew I was going to marry her. But the narrative would be that she seduced me, and she never did. I knew that she would never, ever seduce me. She would never, ever do that. So I also kept that in my mind, that I know I'm going to marry her, and she could care less. I knew that I didn't want that to be the narrative of our marriage. I didn't want that to be the narrative of our story, because I knew that's not who she was. I knew her. So I knew she prayed more than some of the long skirt wearing girls that liked me or that were in my church or all that kind. I knew that she had a relationship with the Lord, and I knew that she would never do that. And so literally, I think we had a grasp, not on all the details of our purpose, but some level of grasp regarding our purpose. I kind of want to end here tonight and just talking about shifting even into marriage and looking at marriage as a purpose partnership. As a purpose partnership. And as it relates to individually in your personhood, as well as what you are called to do and to be in the earth. Sometimes people get the part about what you're called to do and be in the earth. People said for years, that she fit in some regard the stereotypical first lady mold, all of that stuff. But the truth is, I knew that she had the ability to be my purpose partner. I knew that she had the ability, although I didn't tell her I was a preacher. At first, I just invited her to one of my engagements.
I said it, I said, you preach? I said, I know you lying. Because my pastor, my childhood pastor, I love her. She prophesied that I would marry a pastor. Like, she said, you're the wife of an apostle, you're the wife of a priest. And I looked at her and said, oh, no. I'm the wife of an NBA star. I'm marrying somebody in the NBA, right? And God said, you're gonna get an MVP, but he gonna be in the kingdom, huh? The fivefold. So I was like, and when he was like, yeah, I want you to come and hear me preach. I said, dang it, are you serious? Why didn't you tell me? Because I probably told you that I didn't want to be with a preacher. But when you invited me, I was extremely surprised, and I thought it was funny because I was like, I didn't got caught up anyway, because I believed that prophecy was on condition, and I said, oh, this is something I'm going to change. Because I will not be a pastor's wife. I just didn't want that, but yeah, you tricked me.
Yes, so I didn't tell her that I was a preacher,
You
but
tricked
I
me.
knew she was a prophet from the moment that I met her. And I used to tell her all the time, you're a prophet. You're a prophet. She'd be like, why you say that? Blah, blah, blah. Why you say that? You're a prophet. I already know that. But beyond her being a prophet, her ability to deal with David the person in a way that no one else could was also an identifier for me that you are called to do life with me, because you can handle my calling, even though you might not have wanted it. You can handle my calling, but you can also not only handle my calling, you can handle my personhood. Because when I am at home, I am not Pastor David. I am David, the man that gets on your last
Please say
nerve.
that again. Especially for all the women that think that I hit the jackpot because I done married this singing and preaching man. Did you hear him, huh? He gets on my last nerve.
I do.
But no, I love you though. I
No,
love
I know,
you.
and I know that, but I think this is why I want to have this conversation, because this is the real.
Yeah.
This is the reality, is that no matter how well you do what you do, this is not only kingdom or sanctuary oriented. You could be an amazing business mind. You can be an amazing strategist, amazing whatever you are in your industry, but it is your personhood that person is entering into covenant with. It is your personhood, because guess what? She's my son. I'm not technically Pastor David to my son.
Yeah.
I am father. That's a different role. That you understand what I'm saying? And so when you're identifying, like, hey, can this person do life with me? I think it's necessary to consider everything and to see the qualities that they bring to you. I said it a few weeks ago, and she continues to remind me. Y'all, we will be at the house. She'll be like, say what you said again when you was preaching. Tell me that you upgraded me. Tell him I said it before, and I will say it again, that she literally was an upgrade. Why? Because
Preach.
it's the quick information.
Preach, Wilford.
It literally is the truth, because of how she was able to help me be unlocked in my personhood. When I met her, I was preaching.
And you did the same for me, spiritually, yeah.
When I met her, I was preaching. When I met her, I was singing.
Yeah.
That wasn't the part that needed the most. It benefited. No, now, don't get it twisted. It benefited from me becoming more healthy and becoming more self-aware. That was her gift to me, was helping me become self-aware. Although it's called self-awareness, it's very rare that you become self-aware by yourself. Someone else obviously has to be involved in the process. Someone you trust in helping you become self-aware, and that's what she was to me. But talking about marriage and pursuing marriage, I want to talk about this idea of purpose partnership. How do you feel that people can align along the lines of purpose? How do you feel like the relationship in dating? One, how can you date if you, well, that's not a question. I think that knowing and discovering, the continuous journey of discovering your purpose is paramount to dating. Yeah. Because I think that you have to know what you're bringing somebody into. Even if you don't know all the details. One of the things, by the time after I tricked her, I told her, hey, guess what? Not only do I preach, but one day I will pastor. And
God said, gotcha.
You gonna help me do it, or do you not want to do this? Because I need to know. Because there are bitter first ladies, and there are bitter pastors' wives, because they were not clear, or they have not yet submitted to the purpose that is on their husband's life, and subsequently on their life. But I said all of that to say, one, I think knowing your purpose while you're dating is important. How, after you feel like you know at least a part or the beginning stages of your purpose, how important is that when you're communicating it to the person that you're dating with? How important is it to communicate your purpose as much as you know about it to the person that you're dating? And how does that influence your decision to get married? So I'm going to say it again. How important is it to communicate what you feel, the grasp that you have, however limited or wide that expanse is of your purpose, to the person you're dating? And then how does that contribute to figuring out whether you're going to pursue marriage with that person? And you can use our story if you want.
I think that it's very important. I think that it's extremely important. Like he said, you have, and just in our case, but everybody's not pastoring, but you do have so many pastors' wives who are bitter, and or they knew that you were going to pastor, but they didn't know all it would entail. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is, when you are talking about purpose partners, it's really a matter of capacity more than anything. Yeah. And it's a matter of the person. And so the type of person that I am, in my capacity, do I have what it takes to be with someone like you? And so how deep is my understanding? How deep is my understanding level? How deep is my patience? Do I know how to share, depending on what your call or your purpose is? If you're called to people, am I going to be okay sharing you with people? Am I going to be okay with the sacrifices that you have to make for people? So it's honestly about capacity. And I feel, if I'm expressing to you what my purpose is, right, I give you a moment to think it through. And honestly, some things you don't know how you're going to respond until you get in it. Yeah. But there is something called wisdom. Somebody say wisdom.
Wisdom.
As the person is talking to you, if you are in touch with yourself, something in you gonna be like, so you're gonna have that and then you're gonna have that, okay, I think I can deal with this, but I'm going to go away and process. Now, a wise person is not going to tell you I can do it before they step away to say, because when you told me that you were pastoring, I thought through every part of what that could look like for me. And I think my main thing was just don't put that church before me and we're fine. Because I love people, so I can come alongside you and do that, you know.
Absolutely.
I can, at that point, I embraced my spirituality in a way I never had, my call in a way I never had. So I understood that whether you're with him or not, you're called to church people. You know what I mean? So my capacity was developing over time. And so I think that you explaining that to me or you telling me what you were called to do, it really blessed me because I had the opportunity to make a choice. So that it helped there, but also I would say my capacity has deepened over time. And so when we first started pastoring, I didn't know what to expect. I was a young first lady. I had to journey some, and I had to learn a lot, and so did you. And for, being the wife of a pastor, I think that, people may get that a little confused. It's really not that hard. It's being the wife of the man behind the title that's more difficult because then you have to learn how to balance both roles, in my case. So I have to learn how to respect the pastor even when I want to slap the man. I mean, I'm not going to slap him, but I'm just being serious, excuse me.
That's so good.
Yeah, I want to respect the pastor.
And you've always done very well.
Yeah, even if the man is getting on my last nerves, I have done that because I've seen, people show what's happening in their house on the front row, and you cannot do that. But I'm saying all that to say, as I've grown, right, when it comes to a person's purpose, the main thing that I've learned is to learn how to value and honor your purpose, whether I'm in a good mood or not, in a good space or not, and understanding that I could not only connected to you, I also connected to your purpose and your destiny. And so beyond just me and you as man and woman, it just increases your responsibility because then you have to find out, well, how do I show up for you in this? And what type of support are you going to need? And what can I offer your purpose? What can I offer your destiny, if anything? Because some people, they won't have the same purpose. They'll align as people,
right.
But he may be a doctor, she may be a preacher.
Yeah.
She may be a lawyer, he may be a football coach. I'm just saying. And so it's like, hey, although I may not care about football, I'm going to show up because you love it. I'm going to learn about it because you love it. Yeah. Because what you never want to do is leave your spouse without companionship in any capacity. And so there's certain things that his friends can do, but there is nothing like, even if you know that I don't like something, me showing up anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Really
Me coming alongside you anyway. And so I think that it's extremely important, and I think that you should care about how that other person is going to handle your purpose. And you should also care about how you're going to steward it being married to that person so that that purpose won't overtake you so much that you end up neglecting the person. And so there's so much more to talk about, but I will say that it's extremely important, and I'm glad that you told me before we got too deep. We were deep enough to where I was like, now I like you. So to walk away from David because I don't want to be a pastor's wife, that's not smart. Because at the end of the day, I would do ministry with the pastor, but I would do life with David. And so I had to decide, hey, are you good enough to do life with? Yes. Then I'll learn how to partner with you in every other area of what you do.
That's so good. That's so good.
I made him smile. I'm getting some shoes, y'all. Yeah. Yes.
No, that is really good. So we're going to wrap up tonight, but literally, I wanted to have realistic conversation, and I hope this conversation has blessed some of you that are in the room and those of you that are watching online. Just to give you a realistic perspective, it's not an exhaustive perspective. We can't answer all questions about dating, every individual situation, but literally just talking about some key things, pacing and purpose and all of that good stuff and boundaries and all of that, just so we get a realistic perspective that you can look at people that are still also in process, growing, journeying in marriage, in individual development, and knowing that you're not counted out because of maybe mistakes that you've made, your journey has, where your journey has taken you, or choices that you've made, but that literally relationships, romantic relationships, are God's original intent. They are his desire for most people, and having a protocol and some type of framework to kind of go into. So I'm going to pray real quick, and then we're going to be out of here. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us. Father, we just thank you and we glorify you for just this moment to talk with your people and to invite them into our lives and into our story and into our journey. And Father, I thank you that this moment, although fun, and this moment, although real, was God ordained for somebody's. That somebody is watching this and they have questions about how to pursue romantic relationships, how to pursue dating, how to maybe pursue marriage, or whether they should get married or whether they shouldn't. And Father, I just thank you that you are using this moment within their story as a guide and as a framework for them. Father, those that may be at home and those that may be in this room that, Lord, are just stressing out about their relational life. Father, they're concerned, they're worried, they feel like their biological clock is ticking. They feel like people are pressuring them. They feel like they're pressuring themselves, even concerning romantic relationships. Father, I just pray that the peace of God would meet them wherever they are, and that, Father God, you would cause them to be in a season and in a time of preparation and individual, maximizing their individuality and their singleness, and that, Father, you would begin to align them and open up their eyes and cause them to see the covenant relationships and people around them that they may be compatible with for purpose. Father, I just thank you right now that, Lord, even through this conversation, that snares of the enemy are being exposed by divine wisdom concerning relationships. And I thank you that everyone that is under the sound of my voice and everyone that has paid attention and listened to this conversation, that, Father, they are receiving your wisdom, not David's wisdom, not Dee's wisdom, Lord God, but your wisdom. Father, I just thank you that it will be stewarded well. And I thank you, Lord God, for the ease that I feel. I thank you, Lord God, that there are people that are watching this that feel a sense of ease after this conversation around relationships, and that, Father, it will allow for clarity. It will allow them to hear wisdom and to hear counsel. Father, I thank you for those that may be watching that are praying for divine counsel and praying for mentors and relationship coaches. I thank you right now for guiding their eyes and guiding their ears to the right place. Lord God, causing them to find what they are seeking after. Lord, that they might live a fruitful life, and that, Lord, they might live and breathe and move in healthy relationships. So, Father, I just bless you and I give you glory in Jesus' name. Amen. We love you. If you are watching at home and you say, hey, I need more of this in my life, I need more of this mix of real conversation and preaching and worship and all of this stuff. I don't have a church family during the middle of this season. Listen, you can become a part of All Nations Chicago West. If you want to do that, all you have to do is go to allnationswa.com/partners, and you can choose ANWA Chicago West as your campus. Once again, you can go to www.allnationswa.com/partners. We would love to be your pastors and your leaders to help guide you along your journey. We love you and have an amazing night.